Hello, everybody. It's been a little bit since I've talked on here. The thing is that there hasn't been really much, except there's going to be some stuff soon. We're getting into June, and we've already had labor talks between MLB and the MLBPA. Just give me 1 second here. That's better. Okay, that's a lot brighter. And yes, there is rock stuff behind me because we're not going to talk about reefs today. We're going to be talking about the current proposals by both sides of this baseball potential. Yeah, we're going on a strike because both these proposals aren't going to get agreed upon. Like, there's going to be stuff agreed upon on both sides, but the one sticking point is a salary cap in baseball. How the owners want a hard salary cap, and the players are going, no, we don't want that because that's not going to incentivize owners to spend. Well, it actually will because there is a salary cap floor, but still won't do that much. So, I'm gonna look at that. I'm looking down my phone because I got all the stuff that I need on here. First, we're gonna take a look at the proposal by the Players Association, and I'll give my thoughts on that. Uh, so in baseball, there's a luxury tax. If you spend over the luxury tax, then you get taxed a certain percentage of every $1 million that you spend over the tax. So the luxury tax threshold this year is $244 million. The Players Association has proposed that it should would rise to $300 million in 2027 and then increase by $15 million every year after. Penalties such as moving back a team's pick in the amateur draft would be eliminated. Surcharge levels currently as much as 110% would drop to 10% above the preceding level. It's very convoluted, the whole luxury tax situation. That's probably going to be another video. That should be another video because I don't have the time for that. Free agent eligibility, which has been 6 seasons of major league service since 1976, would drop to 5 for players who have reached age 30 by November 1st. A team could retain the player by making a qualifying offer. If a player in the group refuses a qualifying offer, he would become arbitration eligible. That's fine. The luxury tax thing, I'm okay with. I think there needs to be a floor. I'm not necessarily thinking that there should be a cap on spending because I'll get to my thoughts. I'm just reading the main points here. Minimum salary would rise. The minimum salary for this year was $780,000. They're proposing it should raise to 1.5 next season, 1.65 in 2028, 1.825 2029, 2 million in 2030, and 2.2 in 2031. That's a lot. I would not agree to that. That is a lot to be raising it in one season. Like from 780,000 to 1.5 million. I mean that would escalate salaries even higher. And that's all the players want is they want to raise the salaries higher and higher and higher as the years go on to get more money. That's not going to happen. Salary arbitration eligibility would expand, and teams would have to offer at least $3 million to eligible players. Yeah, they want more money for the purse, which I get, and then all convoluted shit. Pre-arbitration bonus pool established at 50 million in the 2022 deal would increase to 180 million next year. Okay. That's a lot. They are definitely trying to gouge. They are definitely trying to get money out of some of these owners, because there are owners, and I'll get to the owner's proposal, that need to spend money. Need to spend more to be competitive. Qualifying, okay. The amateur draft lottery would expand from 6 teams to 8. Happy about that. I think there needs to be more teams to get lottery, a chance at winning the lottery. Low revenue teams who lose players as free agents would get increased benefits, and low revenue teams would get more draft selections. We'll get to the owner's proposal, and then I will tell you that there's a lot of these owners that could spend more. I'm going to keep saying that because there's a lot of teams that need to spend more. Now here's the main one. A competitive integrity tax would be imposed on teams that do not reach 50% of the lowest tax threshold, and teams further below would face surcharges. Teams would be penalized for not spending revenue-sharing money they receive on payroll. There are teams that don't do this. I'm looking at you, Pittsburgh. You don't do it. I'm also looking at the Athletics. Each small market team would be guaranteed at least $240 million in revenue annually, and teams would keep more ballpark-related revenue. Yeah, okay. Low revenue teams with winning records or recent playoffs would get more revenue-sharing money, and local media revenue would be shared among teams more extensively. Yeah, I don't mind that, because at least they're looking after teams. So, I mean, that's the main talking points about the MLBPA. I don't mind their offer. Here is the salary cap offer. Now, I don't have the full offer. That's going to take a while. So the owners haven't proposed a full firm cap since 1994. Yeah, when they did that, the players went, nah, we're striking. And it was a 7.5-month strike. Yeah, I think we're going to be at that point. So the proposed cap would cap spending in 2027 at $245.3 million. Now that's a lot of money. That's a fair amount of money. Using figures for luxury tax payrolls that include $20.1 million for benefits and the pre-arbitration bonus pool. It would also establish a payroll floor of $171.2 million. I'll tell you the teams right now that would actually be over the cap this year. If there was a cap, there would be 8 teams. We know the Dodgers would be one. They're at $379.2 million. Mets, actually, Dodgers and Mets are the same amount. Yankees, the Blue Jays would be Philadelphia, Boston, San Diego, and Atlanta. Only 8 teams would be above the cap. Here is where it gets. Here's where it gets actually really concerning. So, 12 teams would be required to increase payroll by a total of $617 million based on the 2026 numbers. This is what I like. I like a cap 4. I think there should be a 4 that you should be spending as a team. It's hard with a salary cap. But with a salary cap, there has to be 4. In all the professional sports leagues, there is a cap. NBA has a soft cap, and then they have a hard cap. Soft cap is for if you're pretty much like at that point where you don't have to pay tax. And then there's the hard cap where if you're resigning like star players, you can go above the soft cap into the hard cap, but you have to pay a tax between that. Football, there's a cap. There is a salary cap. I don't know if it's hard or soft. You know what I mean. But the way that they get around it is that they'll cut players, they'll roll over salaries into signing bonuses, which lowers their cap hit. They find ways around it. In the NHL, there's a hard salary cap, which actually a lot of people hate because there's you get to the off season where a lot of teams don't spend money, and that's what the MLB seems like they want to do. Here's the teams that would have to raise their payroll. Miami Marlins at $81.8 million. They have to raise theirs to $171.2 million. So about $90 million. Cleveland Guardians. Actually, wait. This is how much they would have to raise it, right? Yeah, I think this is how much you have to raise it to. Or how much they have, like, over the cap. Okay, so it is, just... Okay, so it is, based on, the money that they've spent. Okay, so Miami, it's their salary is at $81.8 million. They would have to raise theirs almost $100 million. Cleveland Guardians at 95.7, Tampa Bay at 108.2, Chicago White Sox is 108.6, St. Louis Cardinals 114.4, Washington 119.1, Pittsburgh 122.6, Minnesota 125.6, Milwaukee 130.9, Athletics 139.2, Colorado 142.2, and Cincinnati 148.8. Those teams would have to raise their salary. And I'm not sure, really, if those owners want to. There are some of those owners who are saying, hey, we actually hate the idea of we love the idea of a salary cap, but we hate the idea of a salary floor. That's what I'm honestly thinking, because MLB said its revenue has gone up by 247% since 2003, and per payroll has increased by 149% in that span. Because there's rich owners. They're saying that it has to be a competitive balance, to improve competitive balance and restrain wealthy teams from assembling starrier rosters than their small market brethren. Because the small market teams, who are owned by rich people, very rich people, the small market teams don't want to spend. I get their small market, but you have to spend. Other U.S. major sports leagues operate under a cap. The NBA had a cap in its initial season of 46-47, dropped it and became its modern version in 84-85. NFL players and owners adopted a cap in the 1994 season. The NHL did so after in 2005-2006. Players have said a cap would hurt them, enrich owners, and increase franchise values. Yeah? Without a cap, MLB stars have landed lucrative, guaranteed contracts that outpace the biggest stars in other. Oh, easily. Like in Juan Soto, $765 million for 15 years. Yeah. Yep. I get them trying to do a salary cap. I just don't see how it's going to happen. I just don't see it. The last one was in 94, and we all know what happened in 94. A 7.5 month strike that had the National Labor Relations Board. They had to step in and say, you're going back to work. After a U.S. District Judge, Sonia Sotomayor, now a Supreme Court judge, issued an injunction restoring the work rules of the expired labor contract. 2 days later, owners accepted the union's offer to return to work without an agreement. A deal wasn't reached until 1997. 3 years it took to actually reach a deal. I don't see an end to this. Both sides are going to keep offering. MLB owners are insistent on having a salary cap. I don't know how that's gonna. I don't see that happening. I see the Bears are gonna go, nope, no, and then on December 1st they'll go, okay, we're going on strike. I don't see that happen. I don't see a salary cap coming to baseball. I would love to see a certain floor to be reached, because there are owners. There are, especially some of those owners, don't want to spend numerous millions upon millions of dollars. That's where a salary cap might happen, is because they want the owners to spend money. You have to spend money. You have no choice but to spend money. We need comparative balance. If you're not spending money, then there's no comparative balance. That's what the MLB is saying. Now, I don't think there's a lot of owners that are going to disagreeing with the salary. Most of the owners are agreeing with the salary cap, but there are some that are disagreeing with the cap floor. They would rather have a cap that they have to spend with no floor, which that's not how it's going to work. But I don't see salary cap happening. The MLB Players Association is going to dig so deep to the point that it's going to be a strike. And I think we all know what's going to happen. By December 1st, it's going to be a strike. Because players don't want a salary cap. They're fine with the tax. But there has to be a middle ground. And I think the middle ground is no salary cap, but a salary floor and a more harsher like luxury tax penalty. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I posted on Instagram today of the walk that I had this morning. It's honestly it's beautiful. I don't know why I'm doing a podcast right now. I should be outside. I'm doing an episode for you just because I had my thoughts on the current on the first contracts, on the first proposals by both sides. There's going to be a strike. I think we can all see it coming. And baseball's not going to be the same. Next year, baseball's not going to be the same. You're going to see a lot of stuff happening within the next few months in baseball. If there's going to be an agreement, and then there's going to be a cap next year, get ready for a frenzy. Trades, cuts, free agent signings, all this shit. All of it. It's going to be crazy. Anyways, good seeing you all. Next video, hopefully, will be sooner than when my last video was. But news has been kind of nah. So, good to you all now. Like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff, all the links to my social medias down below. And we'll see you next time.